Notice their consensus upon the obligation of killing such a person if he is a Muslim. So Muslims have to die, but they've just told us that non-Muslims die too. The Muslims have a consensus that whoever insults Allah or insults his messenger or rejects anything from what has been revealed by Allah, such a person is a disbeliever. Now, what happens to disbelievers? Well, let's find out. Apostasy from Islam, Ridda, section 080. This is in the Reliance of the Traveler, as we know, the world's most famous Sharia manual. Whoever voluntarily leaves Islam is killed. That's section 08.1. There is no indemnity or expiation for killing him. Excellent. Let's step forward and see what this ruling actually goes. Let's go to page. Let's actually read the ruling from the Sharia. Apostasy from Islam, Ridda. Leaving Islam is the ugliest form of unbelief. Well, you're a disbeliever, right? You don't believe. Kufr, and it is the worst. When a person who has reached puberty and is sane voluntarily apostatizes from Islam, he deserves to be killed. I trust that is clear. It doesn't seem to say anything else. Well, let's see what you have to say. If you disagree, please reference the Sunni Shia Sharia reference with the link. Yeah, that will be appreciated. Right. Now, there are various opinions here, and they are not conflicting opinions. They simply, Islam Sharia allows a variation of ruling, right? There's a variability allowed within the rulings. Ask him to repent. If he refuses, he is immediately killed. Now, of course, some of the scholars, some of the major schools will say kill him immediately, don't ask him to repent, and some will say give him up to 3 days. Of course, they all agree that you die. How you die, well, that's what they differ about. Some will say starve them to death. Some will say burn them. Some will say hang them. Some will say chop off their head. Some will say stone them to death. Some, yeah, well, you have choice. Section 8.4, there is no indemnity for killing an apostate, since it is killing someone who deserves to die. Okay, I trust that's clear. I don't see anything that says, no, forgive them, be nice. The Sharia is very, very clear on this issue. Right, let's move on. Al-Khattabi said, I do not know anyone who differed concerning the obligation of killing such a person. It might be my imagination, but I suspect there's a pattern forming here in terms of their opinion about what to do with someone who insults Muhammad. Right, so Muhammad bin Sakhnun said, the scholars have consensus that whoever insults the messenger, attributing a defect to him, then such a person is a disbeliever. Now, this explains why you can show Muslims all of the totally immoral things, all of the completely immoral things that Muhammad did, and they will deny them, despite the fact that you can bring Sahih after Sahih after Sahih hadith. And because Muslims are forced by the Sharia to never attribute any defects to Muhammad. He can do nothing wrong. He is perfect. When they say he's the perfect man, they mean it, right? So understand, they cannot, under any circumstances, see him as anything but absolutely perfect. So no matter what proof you bring of his moral defects, they will simply ignore those. I'm going to go here to section P75.2 to show you what Islam says about that. And so again, once again, I'm in the Reliance of the Traveler. So this is P75.2. This is enormities, right? And this discusses major sins. And a major sin in Islam that can lead to your punishment, and as you see there, your death, is not loving the Prophet more than all people. Muhammad must be loved more than you love your life, your family, your wealth, your children, your mother, everything. P75.2, the Prophet said, none of you believes until I am more beloved to him than his wife, child, self, and all people. When they say self, that's code for your life. You must be willing to give your life for Islam. Jihad. Kirmani says, love of the Prophet means the will to obey him and not disobey him, this being one of the obligations of Islam. You need to have unquestioning belief in Muhammad. This is called taqlid, unquestioning belief. It's a doctrine. I have spoken about that before. We can cover that another day. But understand, now, if you read further into Islam, you will discover that effectively they've taken the words of Jesus, I'm the way, the truth, and the life, and no one comes to the Father but through me. They've taken that and they've applied that to Muhammad.